Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Make America Think Again with Shauna Vaughn. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing to the page. Please continue to share it. Friends, family, coworkers, associates, whomever, share it so we can share the information and we can promote America thinking again, really evaluating information and thinking for ourselves. So I wanted to take a little serious turn today because there's a lot of stuff that happened this past week, but one very important change or shift I think a lot of people may have missed because there was so much in the news cycle, and people were so um, I guess hyper focused on the Epstein files, especially at the beginning of the week when this transpired. So I really want to talk about this. So changes that happen at the department or with the Department of Education. You know, they have been continuously gutting the Department of Education. The goal is to dismantle it altogether. That's began in January, and a little more has happened here recently that I want to make sure that you are aware of. So in dismantling the department, the whole education system, here's what they have done with certain areas just this past week. So K through 12 and colleges and universities now have been moved under the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor, K through 12 and colleges and universities have been moved under the Department of Labor. So remember when, and you can go back and watch this video. Remember when I talked about Project 20, not only Project 2025, but also Project Esther? And I told you the goal was to go to either homeschooling, have parents homeschooling, or the alternative being this whole Christian-based education and the voucher system, et cetera, which they already have in Texas, to as far as I know. Yeah, that's where this is headed. And remember how I kept emphasizing to you that you need to really pay attention to how they were lowering and dismantling and getting rid of the child labor laws. Arkansas being the number one that I remember, reducing the age in their child labor laws of when children can work. They have moved K through 12 under the Department of Labor. Remember how I had conversations with you about how they were adding these more of these kind of technical or more of these apprentice, internship, technical kind of jobs versus more professional degrees, which I was personally seeing on the university and college level. Um, yeah, yeah. So pushing students towards, hey, just get this 2-year whatever certificate, and then you can go work in, this industry real quick, or you can go work in that industry real quick, versus the 4-year or getting a master's degree or going on to get a doctorate, really promoting the opposite. Yeah. And so now they've officially moved K through 12 and colleges and university under the Department of Labor. The Native American education, they moved to the Department of Interior. Foreign languages, they moved under the State Department. Foreign language education, they moved under the State Department. Child care and medical education programs have been moved under Health and Human Services, under the clown that goes by the name of RFK Jr. They have moved childcare like early child development, and medical education programs, nursing, doctors, the medical field, under Health and Human Services, the anti-vaxxer himself, RFK Jr. They are also reducing professional occupations. So degrees, certain degrees they have removed from the consideration or from considering them professional occupations. I can go ahead and tell you psychology is one of them. Education is one of them. So Right now, according to this government, I don't have any professional degrees, according to the changes that were recently made by this regime. I no longer hold professional degrees, according to them. Nursing is another one that has been removed from professional degrees. But they made an exception for theology. So, theology, going into the church, becoming a pastor, becoming a priest, is considered a professional degree. Now, let's connect the dots. If they want to move to either parents homeschooling their children, getting the women to stay at home, raise the kids, have the baby, stay barefoot and pregnant and raise the kids and educate the kids, either that will be your option, or putting them into enrolling your children into some Christian school and letting them be under total control of the pastor, of the priest, or whatever religious organization is running that school. Well, white Christian nationalists, they just want Christianity. So you're not going to have your choice of religions. Okay, so that's another thing. So they will be running the schools. They will be considered the professionals of the schools. They have already tried to remove counselors from schools. So if a child has an issue or a young person has an issue or concern and they won't need somebody to talk to outside of their home, they have to go to that same priest or pastor that's running the school or is in now the counselor position. They don't want the trained therapist anymore. They don't want the psychologists or psychiatrists on campuses anymore. They want the young people and children to go to the priest who runs the school. And then the other thing that's happening is, if you pay attention to the list of degrees that they have removed the professional label, they are predominantly dominated by women. Not only are they predominantly dominated by women, they are also mandatory reporters. So connect the dots. Connect the dots. They want you to send your children to schools, either keep the wife at home, barefoot and pregnant, and educating the kids, or if you send them to the schools that are now going to be male dominated in those professional fields, professional positions, and then you have also removed the mandatory reporters. Because again, educators are not going to be considered the professionals. But the person who has the theology degree that is running the school is the director of the school or the principal of the school, and also the counselors in the schools. Those will be professional, considered professionals. And that area is predominantly dominated by which gender? Males. Males, males, males. Also, you should know that the Christian nationalist organizations have been given access to the foster care system. So children or young people who are in the foster care system, not only has the Christian nationalist, they've been given, those churches that sect, been given access to the foster care system, they've also been given money to financially incentivize funneling foster care children through the Christian nationalist systems. And all this is being done by executive order. That's why you're not hearing about it. He is using that pen in the Oval Office to dismantle our Department of Education. If you have a child that has special needs, or you have a young person that's trying to go to college and they might need a grant, those federal grants, the Pell grants, they're reducing funding for both special needs programs and also college funding. So, yeah, even if you went to college, You could get a degree, but it might not be considered no longer, it may no longer be considered a professional degree. But also, we're going to make it harder for you to get there because if your family can't already afford it, the grant that you get from us is not going to be enough for you to go to college. Now, listen, you in the right climate, you can make some things happen. I went to grad school. I worked a full-time job, a part-time job, and I lived with a crazy person. And I put myself through grad school. No loans, no grants, no nothing. I paid for it all with my part-time job. But we are not in those times, those financial times. We are not. Companies are not hiring like they used to. They're laying off people. They're in this holding pattern because of the tariffs every day are changing. The market is changing every day. So I don't foresee how young people can financially do the things that I was able to do years ago in regards to, supporting themselves through an education, through getting an education. And then if you have the child that is qualifies for special needs, what are these parents to do when the funding will no longer be there for the programs that would get them the accommodations that their child needs so they can be successful in school as well? So please pay attention to this, folks, because they are making a lot of changes behind the scenes because this individual and this regime, this administration, it's not just him. It's the Stephen Millers and again the Heritage Foundation, the Kevin Roberts, the John Boat. They're pushing this stuff through and they say, hey, just sign it. Just sign it. And he's just signing it. He's dumb. He doesn't read. He just goes on whatever they tell him. And he's just signing away. And they are dismantling the Department of Education. So please pay attention. This is going to impact all of us, even if you don't have children. This is going to impact our future. This is going to impact the education, the knowledge, the critical thinkers, the innovation, the creation of the future in America. So it impacts all of us. So please pay attention and show up. Show up when you can to make sure this shit stops happening.